The WIEN Women podcast series is an initiative of the Women in Energy Network and features carefully curated conversations with female entrepreneurs and professionals across the oil, gas, power, and renewable energy sectors in Africa. The conversations in this series seek to redefine female leadership in an industry that is still largely male-dominated.
In each episode, we interview a WIEN woman about how they did it, what they wish they knew prior to starting, and what advice they have for upcoming ladies in this industry. Get ready to be lifted, empowered, and inspired.
Hi, I'm Rolake Akinkugbe-Fulani.
And I'm Charlotte Essiat.
And we're your WIEN Woman podcast hosts.
In today's episode, we will be interviewing Sheri Adegbenro. She is the Chief Audit and Compliance Officer for EKEDC.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, ladies.
That's a very grand term, like
I know.
Chief Audit and Compliance.
Very big.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, as you introduced, thank you, ladies. My name is Sheri Adegbenro. I'm currently the Chief Audit and Compliance Officer of Eko Electricity. I've been in the power sector for about 10 years now. Prior to that, I was with Kano Electricity as the Chief Control and Compliance Officer there. I have a degree in accounting, a master's in management, and a focus in accounting with my master's.
Wow.
Yes, I've, just to kind of compact my career and my experience, really, I've worked with PwC. We, of course, worked with different sectors there. I was within the risk and audits unit. After that, I've worked with Freddie Mac within the financial services, which was in the U.S. Back in Nigeria, of course, I worked with PwC again in Nigeria, and that's where I actually got to work with Kano Electricity, which introduced me into the power sector. And here I am.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I was going to go into the Kano one. For me,
Kano as in northern Nigeria,
yes,
right?
Northern Nigeria.
The why, right?
My point exactly. So when I read her resume, I'm like, Kano, really? So give us a brief about the entire Kano story.
Okay. I take it to be a testimony as well, right? If I may. So when I joined PwC Nigeria, Lagos, to be precise, that's when the privatization that had just happened. So the partner there from my unit said, you know what, Sheri, go and find out about this power sector, what's going on. And so there was a different partner that was dealing with it. And so I now went to him and said, I was asked to come and find out about the power sector, what's going on and all that. And he was like, do you really want to learn about it? I'm like, yes. He's like, okay, do you do project management? Can you do this? I said, yes. Can you go to Kano? I said, let me ask my husband.
Oh.
And that's the good thing of having a supportive system, which that's a different podcast, but I think that's very important. So called the husband, Kano Disco. We had a little chit-chat how that would happen. And I said, he said yes, that, we'll make it work. And so I went back, said yes to the partner. Now, what made me comfortable with Kano is that I grew up in Jos, so I can speak Hausa.
Oh, nice.
But I did not know how northern Kano was until maybe 6 months into 6 months into the project. I'm looking at this big map of Nigeria, and I'm seeing Kano at the border. I'm like, are we there? Are we out there? They were like, yes. So that's why you kind of hit with that. I was really up at the border of Nigeria and all that.
And you went to Kano. So how long did you end up spending in Kano?
I stayed for about a year and a half, 2 years, and all that. Yes. Yeah. We had to fly into Kano every week, fly back to Lagos.
So that means you worked for Kano Disco.
So I worked for initially.
Okay.
Right. I was working for PwC on a project in Kano Disco.
Okay, I see.
And then at a point in time, I actually left PwC and became a Kano Disco employee.
Oh, right. I
Yes.
see. So did you always know that you wanted to go into the energy space, the power sector, or was it something you just fell into?
Well, something honestly I fell into. So if you the conversation with that partner that said, do you really want to learn? And when I said yes, so that was probably a Monday. And so the manager underneath him now called me in and all that. And honestly, within a week, I was training a team on power sector that was going to go to Kano.
Wow.
So it was new for everybody.
Yeah.
It was new for everybody. So, of course, I knew that about myself in terms of resilience, in terms of, being a go-getter, a risk taker as well. But it was new for everybody. And so it was, okay, sit down, learn about this. And a week later in Lagos, I'm in a training room, training and all that. And I mean, as they say, it's history. That's history. Yeah. So that's how it was. And I mean, no regrets. I mean, but the thing I like about the power sector is you see how it affects everybody. You see how it affects the economy. So you want to do good. You want to make sure that it works. And that's why we're still pressing on. And that's why I'm still doing what I'm doing within the power sector.
Through your journey at Kano, Disco, and back into Eko, how does this fit in? I know it's power, but of course, different locations, different power tussle, and different leadership.
Yes.
So now in Eko, tell us about it in Eko, and then I'll do my comparison afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, again, for me, it's when I look back at my experiences, then honestly, I'm grateful to God. I tap myself on the shoulder that I've done such, and all that. So, of course, one of the things, of course, is being adaptable.
Yes.
I mean, no question about that. You must be adaptable. I've been in teams where when I look around at that point in time, I see I'm the only female. Teams where I've looked around and I'm the oldest.
I think a lot of us have been in that
Yeah,
situation.
exactly.
Charlotte, right?
Exactly.
So,
It's a favorite corner.
yeah,
Yes.
indeed.
Yes, and in teams where you look around and you're the youngest. So I've had those different scenarios throughout my career and all that. So Eko wasn't any different, right? It was like, okay, we're here now. What do we need to do? Now, of course, you're going to have different, different practices, different cultures and all of that.
Yes.
So, it's respecting that, understanding it, and then seeing how you can fit in. And I tell people, right, you must know your work ethics and your personal ethics.
That's deep. I love that.
Yeah.
Tell us again. Say it again.
So you must have the work ethics and your personal ethics. It's important, right? Know what you as a person would not do,
Okay.
where you would not go, because that makes you flip both ways and all that. And when
Values.
you flip both, your values change and all of that, right? That doesn't mean that you can't be adaptable. But at a point, but you must always maintain that. Of course, work ethics even comes with okay, you have to do certain things. You know what you need to do, irrespective of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Get that job done.
Yeah.
Burn
So
them down.
you've talked about work ethics and personal ethics. Now we're talking about internal audit and corporate governance.
That's correct.
So,
Yes.
I mean, help those of us who are like layman, help us even dissect when you say internal audit and corporate governance in the electricity sector. What exactly are you doing on the job practically?
And all that. Okay, so let's even start with corporate governance. Now, corporate governance, that should be for every single company, no matter how big, no matter how small. So if you just think of corporate governance just as a set of systems of how a company should actually, their practices, their rules, their processes. Now, corporate governance is now broken down into about 3 structures. You have the internal structure. So the internal structure will deal with policies, the approval matrix. Who should approve what at what amount? When should I approve what? How many signatures should you have for certain things? Recruitment. So all the internal processes and procedures within a company. Those things must be in place, right from even the board, how the board is structured, the trainings the board must take place, how the board is evaluated, all the way down. Now, the external structure has to do with now regulations. So that's the second arm of even just the corporate governance structure, correct, yes. Which for any company, for every company, as long as you're official or unofficial, you're governed by certain regulations. Whatever it is, whether in the food industry, whatever the case may be, of course, with the power, of course, we have NERC, we have NEMSA, we have, there's so many others, Ministry of Power, and of course, as an entity-wide company, FIRS, which is, Federal Inland Revenue. Tax, exactly. NHF, just different regulations. So you need to make sure that there's a framework around that is actually being taken care of. And of course, the last one is the independent auditors.
Okay.
So where you're having your external auditors come in, to kind of look at your financial statements. Because at the end of the day, the board of directors must be able to kind of stand that their financial statements are correct.
Accountability.
Correct. because corporate governance, there's the accountability, transparency, and all that, where they need to stand, because that's what potential creditors are going to look at. That's what their shareholders are looking at to say, how are we doing, and all that. So from an internal audit standpoint, you're now looking to see, okay, you want to make sure that your company that you're about to audit. So internal audit, of course, is the independent assessment to management that the processes are working as they should, right? Or if they are not, you've evaluated it properly so that you're actually reporting to management, hey, in this area, we're kind of good, but in this area, we need to fix some things. So as an internal auditor, you're looking for that corporate governance structure, because that is actually what would tell from the lowest person to the highest person what we need to do. I mean, that would avoid a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
That would even avoid, in terms of even just bias within the company, because it's laid out on what needs to be done. Now, of course, a lot of factors kind of affect the implementation of the internal procedures and all that, but still. But overall, that's kind of the framework.
Very, very interesting. You sound very passionate about what you do.
I know, right? That brings me to my next question. So EKEDC in WIEN is one of our major corporate sponsors, and we're so delighted to have them. Now we have you. So I think it's just a plus. So I think we should just say, tell us more on your 1 or 2 success stories as EKEDC.
So 2 success stories?
Yes,
EKEDC,
yes.
Well, of course, the first one, of course, we had the first female MD. I think that was a huge achievement and all that. I mean, it's where she's even been able to, and she's been with the company, so she's grown with the company.
That's
right?
Dr. Sinu.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Tinu Adesonda. Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's grown with the company, which I think is important, right? So it gives employees, that sight of hope. That what, I continue
Female
working hard.
Yes,
right? And all that. I continue working hard. I do my thing. I can actually get there. So and that's been quite an achievement and all that. So that's the first female employee.
Yes.
First female MD, CEO within the company and all that. And even with once she even got on board, of course, you from my perspective as an internal auditor, right? You could see how more females sat
Held
up
their shoulders
straight.
high,
No,
at the table.
yes, and all that. Even the younger ones and all that, which is very, 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 very awesome to see, right? And it's actually encouraging. And you really could see them, people that were more brave and all that. The syndrome that we tend to have, where we get into that we're not good enough. You could see that kind of shed off a bit.
Absolutely.
You could see that shed off a bit among the young ones and all that. And so you are now seeing engineers. Although EKO, prior to that, right, had started getting female engineers, like line workers that would actually do the men job, climbing ladders and all that. But you could see them come out more. And so
themselves.
Yes. I mean, that was good. That was actually awesome. I mean, also the second achievement is that too, right? Of course, this year, please, we had a record of, I think, about 16 billion collections.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And we know how that is downstream within the power sector.
Exactly.
Collections is always a problem.
Yes.
It's
I think everywhere,
really.
Taking your money back, doing the job is good.
Yeah.
Getting your job completion certificate is awesome, but
getting your money back, getting paid.
Yes. So it's really just even right now, just even on this, kind of framing the strategy of how those things happen, and then try to see how we can replicate it.
Oh, fine.
Yes.
I mean, we talked a bit about diversity and all of that. So in terms of really trying to get more women into the power sector, you worked obviously in a distribution company, but you had experiences across board. What more do you think can be done, both from a policy perspective, from a private sector perspective? You talked about how female engineers are being inspired, and look at you work in internal audit and compliance. What more can we do to get more women through that funnel?
I think for me, right, if we get... No, we're doing it, right? I think it's just fine-tuning it a little more, where we're having the mentor and mentee programs, and probably not making it as huge as we're doing. So it's more, the collab is taking place more closely. Okay. In the sense that, right, okay, we won't just say, meet 3 times a year, right? It's more, let us, let me track you weekly or whatever the case may be. You want to get to a certain place, we're putting it on our dashboard and we're actually getting
it priority.
Exactly, and all of that, right? I mean, WIEN is actually a great a great tennis association. I'm also on some subcommittees, and we're even so there are different like mentorship programs that we're thinking about. There are different things, job postings and all that. So it's really just we've started it. We're talking about it. It's just really, I think, to zone in on it, make sure that we make it foolproof. And really push it out, and also we tweak it as we see that it's not giving us that achievement that we want. So I mean, there are different things, as you said, and all that, right? I mean, you have the different WIEN biz as well, and all the other things. It's really just getting just the young ones to even come and collaborate with us, and we kind of hold their hands as they actually go step by step. But I mean, that doesn't leave us out really, because we need to. Yeah, I mean, we're brave.
As in we women,
We're
right?
women and all that. Yes, and all that. I mean, we're brave, right? But there's always a step higher for us to go to.
Yes.
And we also need that coaching, whether it's to government agencies, whatever it is, and all of that. So.
I like when you bring that up, because I always say, you need the men as well. Whilst you're a female and you advocate for certain things, it's also nice to have the men as allies.
Yes.
Because there's some places where they're discussing you, girl, you're not there. So you need the guys to actually do that little push ally for you. Because you know what we have, and that's why I like the WIEN Association. We have a pool of women at different levels.
That's correct.
At different levels. And when I read previews or profiles or resumes that come to me, I'm like, whoa, really? We have such mouthful.
And they're just hiding there in the corner
It's
doing their
obvious.
own little thing. Yeah.
Jeez.
So I guess that's what WIEN is about, trying to get more women to come out and to be visible. So if you were giving advice to a young woman who potentially maybe wants to work in the power sector, in whatever area of function that she wants to, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice to, or what would you even have told yourself, Sheri? Maybe when you were 21 or 22. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with what I've told myself to do more of, and then the other 2 is what I've been doing. So the first one is really to have fun while you're at it.
I agree.
To have more fun.
Okay.
I agree, right?
Yeah.
Having fun is not being lackadaisic with your achievements. It's not being lackadaisic in executing your achievements and all that. I think I was a bit too serious when I was younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I had fun, but not as much as
I agree with you,
could
Sheri.
have, really. So I think I'm having fun. Now, the second one, I pretty much am good at, so it's being a risk taker. You have to be a risk taker.
That one they always tell us about, Charlotte, that women don't take risks.
I don't know.
At all. Charlotte said she doesn't know.
I'm telling you. For that you asked me a question as well, how did I get to Kano?
Yes.
If I did not say yes, I wouldn't.
You won't be here.
You wouldn't be here. Yeah.
If I did not say, and the thing about it is, once I now got to Kano, the team, I was the only female. Till today, when they talk about electricity, they say, Sheri, do you remember her? She was the only one that wanted to go. Because what it was that, I mean, there were the male managers and all that, but the majority of the team were outsourced.
Yes.
Right.
Right? Because there was just a hesitation on, don't know Kano. And that's when, the bombings were taking place.
Yes.
Okay. So that was very brave.
Yeah, that's when the bombings were taking place. So, I mean, it didn't touch where we were, but sometimes, in the afternoon, someone would just walk into the office and say, "Did you hear there was a bombing this morning in town?" You're like, no.
And you'd be like, "How did I get here?"
Seriously.
I know. I know that feeling.
You're like,
yeah.
So that's the second, and the third really is have a support system.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, 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 really.
It doesn't have to be. It can be a man if it is. It can just have a support system. It can be a mix of your husband, your mother, your sister, even friends, but have that support system. Because you will turn back once in a while, and you need that support system to say, it's okay, go on.
Let's go.
You need it. Because there's no way, because at my stage when I was there, so I would fly into Kano like 6 a.m. on Arik.
Of course.
Arrow,
6:30.
on Monday. And then fly out last flights Friday. And so the kids were a bit young then. And so having that support system, I didn't have to worry too much about the children and all that. So that kind of helps. So imagine I had to worry, I'm hearing that they're sick and all of that. It throws everything off and all that. So no, you do need a support system. However you get it, you need a support system. So yes, we need men as allies, we need them as support system as well. But however you get that support system, it's needed.
Yeah.
It's definitely needed. So those are the three things. Really.
I think for me, I'll just round up in my end with the interest. What's your interest?
Yeah.
What drives you?
In fact, Charlotte read my mind there. She must have several sides to her, right?
What is it? There must be. What's your interest about?
Okay, first of all, I think I'm a problem solver.
Okay.
I want to solve problems. I do want to solve problems. Nigeria has a full myriad of problems, and I want to solve problems. Now, the power sector is one area that, as I said, right, you solve it, you help the economy tremendously. So that's one of my key things in terms of just being a problem solver. Of course, there are other areas that I have the passion for and all that, but when I get into a job where it's just a circle, it gets me bored. It gets me bored and all that. So
Clearly, after your expedition to Kano,
Sheri is restless.
exactly, very.
So yes, no. So really, just being a problem solver. Being a problem solver, and I think with the power sector, there's a lot to solve over here, and at least we're working towards getting it done.
Yeah.
And I think with WIEN and all that, and the support we get, and just the vision. Honestly, once things get solved, how we want it to get solved and all that, I can just see the economy.
Take it off.
I tell people, dream with me.
I know, right? I like
Dream
that vibe.
with me. If you can dream it, just dream it. Don't worry about how it is, how you're going to get there. Just let's dream it. And so as we start taking one step at a time, if it's not mirroring or getting to that dream, then we adjust. But dream it. Anything you do, dream it.
Yeah.
If I can dream it with you, then I understand your vision.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand your vision. Okay, I even see you going off track. I say, no. But remember, this was the dream. And the dream is stuck in my head. Right? So it's not as if, I can't remember. Your dream is stuck in my head.
You've internalized it.
Yes.
Yes.
Internalized it and all that. And so you're working towards that.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Sheri, you've given us so much meat, so much food. I feel like, Charlotte, we need to kind of unpack and go and reflect, right?
I know. My bone was empty. Now the meat is back.
Yeah, the meat is mine too.
I have steak.
Yeah,
full
the
steak.
three of us both.
Yes.
It's been so fantastic talking to you, Sheri Adegbenro, Chief Audit and Compliance Officer of Eko Disco. Well, that's it, ladies. Join us for another great episode of the WIEN Woman Podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye from myself and
Charlotte.
all right.
It was nice.
It was nice. Later.